Hey everyone, and welcome to the Bible story. Today, we are going to learn about the cave of Machpelah. Let's dive right in. We will explore what happened at Machpelah in Hebron by reading the following passages. Genesis chapters 23, 25, 35 and 49, and also Genesis chapter 50 verses 12 through 13. All these references can be found in the New International Version. At Machpelah in Hebron, for men of faith passed away and were buried. So let's talk about each one, starting with Sarah, who was buried first. Sarah's burial. Genesis chapter 23, verses 17 to 19. Now when Abram was still living, the Hittites said to him, Abram, we have heard that you are a man who fears God, since you are a foreigner residing here. Buy a piece of land from us for a burial site, so that you can bury your dead among us. Then Abram got up, and he went out to the gate of the city to meet with Ephron the Hittite, the owner of the field. And Ephron was worth a lot of money. He said to Ephron, sell me some property for a burial site here so I can bury my dead who are among you. Ephron replied, you may not bury your dead here. The foreigners who live among you may bury their dead here. But you must buy one of the Hittite fields if you want to bury your dead there. So he paid Ephron the Hittite for 100 shekels of silver. Then Ephron's field was designated as a property for Abraham and his descendants according to the laws of the Hittites and the laws of the land. After this, Abraham became the first person buried in the cave. His son Isaac followed him, and he was buried there too, beside his mother. Abraham's burial. Genesis chapter 25 verses 9 to 10. And as the days of Abraham's life were nearing their end, God blessed him and said to him, know that your time will come to an end, that you will die. But your eyes will remain open, you will see a great nation and countless riches. And your descendants will be like the stars in the sky and the sand on the seashore that cannot be counted. And they will dispossess many peoples and powerful nations. They will take possession of many lands and become masters of many nations. And kings will come from among your offspring. And while your descendants are still young and small, I will establish their fortunes, and their people will become a mighty nation. Then King Abimelech of the Philistines approached and greeted Abraham, and blessed him, and said, God has made a great nation of you. And now I want you to swear an oath before me, between me and you, and between my descendants and your descendants, that my descendants will not deal unjustly with your descendants, or destroy them, or mistreat them, or fight against them, and that my descendants will not make war against your descendants in any way. Then Abraham fell down in his presence and swore. As we can see, after Abraham lived a long life of 175 years, he died, and his son Isaac and his son Ishmael came together to bury him beside his wife Sarah in the cave of Machpelah. Isaac's burial. Genesis 35, verse 27 to 29. And James, when his life had come to an end, breathed his last breath and died. He was old and full of years, and he had lived 180 years. Then Isaac, Abraham's son, died, and he breathed his last breath and joined his people, and his descendants buried him in the cave of Machpelah in the field next to Ephron the Hittite. That is next to Mamre, which is in the region of southern Canaan, the same one that Abraham bought from the Hittites, where Abraham was buried and where Sarah died and was buried. And Jacob was wroth with Laban the Syrian, but called his sons and said to them, you shall not take wives from the daughters of Canaan, take only the daughters of Leah, your sister, and take the daughters of Zilpah, my handmaid, as wives for yourselves. Then the sons of Jacob took only the daughters of Leah his sister and the daughters of Zilpah, his maidservant. Genesis 49, verse 31. Then he charged them, saying, thus you shall bury me beside my father and my mother. You shall bury me in the cave in the field of Machpelah, which is next to Mamre, the same one in southern Canaan, which you bought for me from the sons of Het. And Jacob summoned his sons and gave them instructions. And he commanded them, saying, this is the God Most High, the ruler over all gods, to me and to my descendants. Therefore, you shall worship the God Most High, fear him, and he will bless your food and your offspring. And he will bless you in your offspring, and you shall grow into a company of people, and he will bless you and your offspring. And there shall be peace with your offspring, and you shall grow into very many. And let no one of the gods of the land of the Canaanites inherit your children, nor bow down to their gods, nor serve their idols. And you shall keep the feast to him, because he is your God, he is your protector and your defender, he is your protector and he is your defender. You shall be his people, and he will be your God. If you dwell in the land, You shall destroy the altars of prostitution that are in the land and destroy the pillar where they go to practice prostitution around it. I am Yahweh your God, who brought you out of the land of Egypt. You shall walk in obedience before me and be holy, because I am Yahweh your God. And Jacob blessed them all and spoke in Hebron. After Isaac died, his son Jacob was the next one who was buried in the cave of Machpelah. Yet Jacob didn't pass away in Canaan but rather in Egypt. So Jacob requested his son Joseph to carry his body all the way back to Hebron to be buried. When Joseph came up to bury his father, it was a procession of 70 wagons carrying the body of Jacob, and his sons and grandsons accompanied him. As we read in Genesis chapter 50 verses 12 through 13, so Joseph made ready his chariot and went up to bury his father. His bones were taken from Shechem in the field of the tombs, where they had been lying, and the whole house of Jacob buried him there. And when they had buried him, his sons, Daniel and Naphtali, set up over his tomb a pillar and a pillar stone, and they placed there a stone cairn. And a pillar is a large upright stone erected as a monument, and a cairn is a heap of stones piled up as a monumentum. This event is the only one in the Bible in which a monument or a pillar was set up over the grave of someone. Now Jacob also mentioned in his blessing over his sons that his wife Rebekah and his wife Leah were also buried there. Thus, that means that besides Rachel, all the other matriarchs of Israel were buried in the cave of Machpelah, Rebekah and Leah's burial. Genesis 49:31. And thou shalt bury me in the cave of Machpelah. This was the request of Jacob before he died. Why was it important for Jacob to be buried in the cave of Machpelah? What does the cave symbolize? Let's find out in our next section. A testament of faith. Abraham purchased it as a pledge of God's promise of the land. A family unity site. Even divided brothers, Isaac and Ishmael, Esau and Jacob, united there to bury their fathers. A sacred heritage. It became a symbol of Israel's ancestral roots and God's covenant. One of the holiest sites today, revered by Jews, Christians and Muslims. Known in Islam as the Sanctuary of Abraham, Ibrahimi Mosque. So you see, the cave of Machpelah holds great importance for all three religions, Judaism, Christianity and Islam. What did you learn today? In the cave of Machpelah in Hebron, for men of faith passed away and were buried. Besides them, Rebekah and Leah, the two wives of Jacob, were also buried there. And the cave of Machpelah is not just where Sarah was buried, it became the ancestral tomb of Israel. It was the only land that Abraham ever owned in Canaan during his life. And it was a place that drew families back together in moments of grief and legacy. Now repeat after me. The cave of Machpelah in Hebron is one of the holiest sites in the world for Jews, Christians and Muslims. It is known in Islam as the Sanctuary of Abraham or the Ibrahimi Mosque. Click here to watch this video in sign language. Click here to learn more about Abraham, the friend of God, or click here to watch another video. Until next time, remember to put God first in your life and follow Him every day.